It's also odd how a lot of religious people will just apply whatever reasoning they want onto a thing and just be like, and that's why you can't do that. And you're like, that's not an explanation. Like that doesn't make sense. Like I remember being told that I didn't even say the words. I said MFer, just said that. And they're like, that means the devil. And I'm like, okay. And then I talked to my buddy and he's like, Mr. Broberg's a fucking idiot. I'm like, okay.
Just anything but explaining it to you.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, we are back with another episode of Growing Up Christian. This one's going, we're going a little off the beaten path this time. There's no intro here. We're jumping right into it with our guest, Luke Severeid. What's going on, Luke?
What up, dudes? How we doing?
Doing quite well. I was, my voice is probably, Casey's probably picked up on it. I might sound like I'm going through puberty right now. At least it feels like that's what my voice sounds like to me. I was at a show last night, and I don't go to a lot of shows anymore. And it was one of those ones that you mostly just talk to people during. So after like an hour and a half, after like 3 hours of talking over loud music, I woke up this morning and was like, I have no voice. We'll see how this goes later on this evening. But
what bands were you seeing that you did not care for?
I didn't care for them, but it was Yellow Card 20th anniversary of Ocean Avenue. And
okay.
It was one of those ones where you just run into like 15 people that you know. Like you just keep running into people constantly who all grew up on the same shit. So you're just like, oh, what's up? And after like 3 hours of music, you're just like, that's it. Like your voice is finished. Yeah. So also, before we start getting into your life, I want to know if you guys feel the same way, because I think this happens to me a lot with like high energy experiences, like a show, right? And this is a big ordeal. I mean, it's big. It's an outdoor show. There's a lot of energy. The day afterwards, I always feel like super bummed out. You're just like, does that happen to you guys after like after being at something like that high energy, where you're just like the next day, you're just like, well, I guess there's nothing interesting about anything anymore.
You got like the post-nut gloomies.
Yeah, essentially.
I don't like you said gloomies. Like that just it makes it sound like you're stickier than more people, and I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, stickier than usual.
Yeah.
Now we have to establish baseline.
Gotta clean my balloons.
I mean, unless I'm being a sad loner boner, I usually don't have gloomies afterwards. I'm usually like, well, that was the best part of my day. But I call that the dopamine drop. It's where you have a really good weekend or something, and then just, all right, you're done. Your body's like, hey man, we used up all of the joy, and we haven't made enough to replace replenish the battery, recharge it. So you're gonna be bummed out on a Monday.
Yeah,
it's like the last day of a trip when you're like, you fly out at 4, and in your brain you're always like, well, we fly out at 4, so we can go hang out for the morning and do something fun. And then I usually just sit there the whole day, just like, I don't care about anything. Let's just get on this plane and go home.
Waiting to travel is one of my least favorite activities.
It does suck.
Yeah, not a fan.
And speaking of travel, we were trying to connect sooner, but you ended up getting a last-minute trip to Hawaii. And I was really interested in asking you about how last-minute trips to Hawaii come up, because that sounds fucking awesome. And also, I'm waiting for a last-minute trip to Hawaii to present itself for me. So if like I can learn from how this happened, maybe I can position myself correctly.
It's a very specific set of circumstances. Let's see if you can replicate it. Basically, buddy of mine, also a stand-up comedian, Andrew Rivers, he was going to be going over there to run some marijuana themed shows out there called The Dope Show. And he was going to run it, and he was going to hang out with family, and his father has been on and off having cancer for a while. So the family, him and his mom, couldn't go out there. And Andrew's like, well, I got these shows. And they're like, well, we'll buy your Airbnb. And Andrew's like, all right, so I'm going to be in Hawaii by myself running shows. And he's like, hey, Luke, you working this weekend? I'm like, I have a show, but I can reschedule. He's like, cool, man. I need someone to help me run the show. And I've ran a bunch of pot shows before. I know how to wrangle stoned comedians because
it's a skill set.
Dude, it is a skill set. And I've been one for a while now anyway. So game recognized game. I know what we're doing. And his dad was nice enough to like buy the Airbnb. And then Andrew's like, I got some spare, flyer miles, so I can bring you on as like a spare passenger, because I didn't make good money on the trip. It was like, only a couple $100, but like with lodging taken care of, I lost money, but not nearly as much. So it was like a weird working vacation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to bail on doing the podcast because I'm like, all right, I gotta go to Maui, and I forgot to put out a joint on the way out. So all the recent stuff, that might have been my fault. So my bad, y'all.
You flipped it out the window of the plane.
Yeah, I was like, no consequences, dude.
What a crazy time to have just left there.
Yeah, it was a week ago. Like I went to the Safeway in that town, like to get an energy drink. Just be like, I want some caffeine. So it's like I'm looking on the news. I was like, I just was there like a week ago. All right. Well, that's unfortunate, but shout out to Mother Earth trying to murder us because of what we did to her. Yeah.
Mother Earth is trying to fuck us up pretty much everywhere right now, it feels like. I mean, I live in Massachusetts, and like a lot of like several weeks ago, it was just looked constantly overcast because of all the smoke coming down from Canada from the wildfires they had going on there.
Yeah, and I'm in Washington State, and we've had that for the last couple of years. The first year it really hit was 2020, so it was just like, so it's just the world is the worst.
Yeah.
I think I was up there that year. I can't remember the name of the town, but yeah, it was very smoky.
Yeah.
Maui's such a weird place too, because like so Maui's kind of like a bean shape, and the like eastern side of the island is Haleakala. It's this giant volcano. It's basically just a giant cone with some like fringe around it, which is all the beaches and towns and stuff, right? The other side, west side, is Lahaina and some of those towns. And in the middle of the west side, there's like this big gully that's a rainforest. And I remember like one time we were there, we drive up into this like big ditch where this rainforest is. It's a park, like some sort of state park thing and everything. And they get like, I don't know, it's like 200 inches of rain a year in here. I mean, it's just wet in this valley. And you can look out the valley because it's a small place, right? So you can look out the valley and see Kihei, which is like kind of like almost on the eastern side of the island. Kihei gets like 10 inches of rain a year. It's like a 20-fold difference in rainfall between like a place where you see the other one from. And I don't know. It's just such a weird freak of nature sort of area.
Yeah, to live on an active volcano, it's like,
yeah,
okay.
What did you do while you were there?
Jokes. I actually was sick the second half of the trip, which was tight. But finished all the shows, really, really fun shows, and then just I crashed because I probably got something while traveling. I took a COVID test, but it's like negative. I'm like, all right, well, then this is just whatever this is. But definitely, hung out at the beach, just ate overpriced food and told some jokes, sold some T-shirts, which is a passion of mine. Love selling T-shirts.
Slinging merch, you got it.
I got into comedy.
To the end.
Yeah. But it was mostly just that. I mean, just did basic Hawaii stuff. And then, I don't know. Like, it was fun, but I don't know. I'm not much of a, it was just like, oh, yeah, this is tight. I like water that's a little bit warmer. But the whole time, it's, I don't know. It's weird. And I haven't been to Hawaii since I was like a baby. So like as an adult, it's like we basically took an entire culture and we're like, you're customer service. That's what this is. Like just at gunpoint. We're like, you guys, you work for tips. And you're like, all right, well, you got more guns than I do. So I guess I'm going to do what you say. And then, hello.
They put a little lei on you when you get off the plane, act like they think it's so cute. It's like they're all like, God, end it for me now.
I mean, I think no one gave me a lei, which was a bummer. I was really hoping to be uncomfortable while that happened. I did not
Yeah.
want that. Like, just the idea of someone being like, here you go. And you're like, what
Ugh.
is, because that forced customer. So I don't know if you guys have had what your work history is like, but like customer service and knowing it's customer service makes me just be like, can we just stop? Like, I don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you don't need to do this for me.
Yeah.
I recently had to deal with like Charter, Spectrum, whatever, my internet, and I was like, they gave me a service I didn't want, and I had to call like 4 times to cancel it. And the last time I talked to someone, then they transfer you to retention, and then retention goes through the same questions that they ask you when you sign up for the product to begin with. It's like, oh, what kind of stuff do you watch? How many TVs do you have? How many? What are you streaming? It's like, and I go, I honestly don't want to answer any of these questions. I've already done it. I'm already paying you. Can we just get to the part where you cancel what I don't want? And she goes, unfortunately, I can't do that. This conversation is being recorded, and I am obligated to ask you these questions. And I was like, great. Well, I'm going to cut you off every time you start talking and say no, and we'll just get through this faster. She's like, and that was it. It was just like, and how many? I was like, I don't feel like answering that. And she's like, all right, moving on. Like, it was the most like fake bullshit. Like, what are we doing? Why are we? I can't believe we have to do this. That is customer service.
It's not up to her at all.
No, it's
She's
not.
just making minimum wage. It's just someone, it was a decision that someone at corporate made, that someone else wrote up all these things. And they also know that it's easier to you can annoy people into just paying you money passively.
Oh, for sure.
So
I
that's all it is.
I did say, like, I did cold calls, like telemarketing shit in college, and it's a nightmare. So anytime I do talk to those people, I feel I'm like, I don't want to be the person like, you're doing that for 8 hours, just like, boop, someone's on the other end of your headset, and you have to just like work through it. It's awful. So when you get people who don't treat you like shit, it is a pleasure.
I mean, it's a real low bar to
It
have.
is. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't threaten to sue me and murder my family. This is a good conversation.
I mean, the podcast just started, so give me a little bit of time.
Yeah. So I did a slightly poor introduction. Luke Severeid. Fuck. We did it. We did it. A stand-up comic and fellow metalhead, and those things blend together for you, which is what tuned us into your comedy. And
Christian.
also, you're currently in training to be a pastor, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I do like to speak in front of large groups of people and try to convince them to think the way I think, and hopefully they feel elevated by the time they leave.
So yes,
closer.
They're
to
your
God.
flock.
You did sing a little bit of a hymn in one of your videos I was watching today. It was a Oompa Loompa song about.
What was yeah, man. I enjoy adding music to stand-up bits if possible. I mean, the absurdity of it and the juxtaposition of someone aggressively saying absurd things, it scratches an itch for me.
Yeah. So you grew up Christian. What kind of Christian world did you grow up in, and where? Like, I feel like where you're located geographically has a big impact on the type of Christianity you might have come up from.
I was raised Lutheran. It's the church I went to, but then also went to a non-denominational private school through like 5th grade. 6th grade went to public school. So Lutheran, and then just kind of the weird hodgepodge of vague, threatening Jesus along with math.
Yeah. Did they try to incorporate Christianity into math? Do you recall? Into word problems?
No, I mean, sometimes a little bit of that was used, but not too much. They kind of separation of church and numbers, slightly, but it was kind of involved in many other things. If they could thumb some Jesus into whatever other lesson, they would try to do it.
Yeah, that's generally the move. So you said I love non-denominational Christian schools because there's so little like. It's not like there's an oversight board. You're not really responsible to anybody. Like it's a choose your own adventure with Christian schools. Like they're insulated. You're basically only. I don't even know how involved the parents are a lot of times. Sometimes it's just like, oh, I'll just pay to send my kid to a Christian school because they have this idea that might be better for them. But I love the names of Christian schools. You don't have to call out your Christian school, but I feel like they always hang out in like a similar lane. What was the name of this Christian school? Do you remember?
Well, it's like a chain of them in the Pacific Northwest. Cascade Christian.
Okay, a chain. I didn't know
which
they
isn't.
had. I wasn't aware of this chain thing. I honestly thought most Christian schools were like very like pretty independent.
Well, I mean, you just got to be good enough at Christian capitalism to get multiple locations. You got a franchise, baby. There was always a first Subway, and they branched out from there. I don't know how many locations there are because I haven't paid attention in decades. Because it'd be weird if I did. But I actually have a relative that, like, I think she retired from them, but she was like a higher up in those, and very nice lady, even if I disagree on fundamental levels. But yeah, it was Cascade Christian, and I think it had a different name and that they changed when I was a kid. I'm not sure the reason why. Probably had something to do with taxes, I bet.
Yeah, I was gonna say taxes.
Yeah.
Did they was it like a traditional like school sort of I guess format? Because I went to a Christian school and we had like it was basically like we all homeschooled in the same room. We all had like a little cubicle and we worked on these little individual books. Like, did you actually have classes with other people all learning at the same time?
Yeah, it seemed like a fairly normal format for like an elementary school. Like first, second, third, fourth grade, it was all classes of 20 to 25 students, maybe closer to 30 ish on occasion, and we usually had 2 to 3 classes per grade. So it wasn't like a huge school, but there was enough. Like I'm telling you, man, they franchised. They were and then we were constantly, it's part of the reason why my parents stopped having us go there is because they're paying for tuition. And then the school's like, we need to fundraise. We need to fundraise. We need to fundraise. And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You got to fundraise and you're not really paying taxes on anything either. It's a scam. But,
Christian. I only went to a Christian school up through second grade. And it was the same thing, and there's usually the if you teach there or you volunteer to do something, you get a slight discount on your tuition based on the amount that you that you commit. I don't know. It's always that though. It's always like trying to figure out how they can get people to. It's like church. You're like, we need people to do free labor so that way we can keep this thing running, and like the pay scale is always crazy bad for private schools. It's like usually it's like parents are like, I'll teach because then my kid can go here. I don't know. It's crazy to me that there's just not a lot. With private schools, like the oversight is honestly non-existent when it comes to like academic standards and teaching and shit like that.
Yeah, but I mean, are you surprised?
No, no surprises.
It's people that fear public school system as we slowly like make it worse and worse. So I don't know, man. It's I'm an optimist, I guess. I'm feeling pretty good about the future. They're slowly ruining the country and the world and everything. It's fantastic. Love me some Jesus followers and all their fucking agendas.
Did you have a dress code?
Yes. I mean, it was more, I heard about the, like junior high and high school because I had friends there and I thought it'd be fun to like visit it, but you couldn't have facial hair and I had a goatee at like 15. I was like, I'm not shaving my fucking goatee.
You were the hairy kid?
I was. What do you think based off of my appearance?
I had to guard you in basketball like every time.
Was the goatee, did it get in the way of you? Like
it was usually like just the copious armpit hair and stuff. It was like guarding a salty mop.
I wasn't that bad. This beard, like this doesn't I mean, I'm fuzzy, but I wasn't like some 15-year-old with a beard. I had a goatee and still a full head of hair. So like, I hadn't fully embraced my mammal heritage up until that point.
Did the ladies like the facial hair back then?
I mean, everyone did.
When you're
That
young,
didn't mean I fucked everybody. I'm just saying, like, everyone was like, "Oh, you got the thing," and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, it's testosterone." I thought it was cool, and then I realized it also meant that this was going to go away. But it took me a couple years to realize that was the case.
That is pretty common. That's often the case, I guess. Is it like if you're growing a good ass beard at 16, like you're more likely to lose your hair? I feel like
Yes.
also in general, people who can grow nice beards look good bald. Like if I went bald, I would look like shit, and it would be like I would have to really like come to terms with my, it would be hard. I would be very, very, I might even consider wigs, and I think it's unfair that like we don't consider that as an option for some men.
I
You
mean,
just look like a turkey, like a raw turkey.
Because every once in a while you do see a guy who like really just can't grow this. They don't have alopecia, but they're bald everywhere, and you're just like it's just not fair. Like there's sometimes you see people and you go, that's not fair. Your head does a lot of weird things, like it squiggles a lot, and mine has like a dip in it, and it's just
your parents put you to bed on top of your head.
maybe I mean, some of it I was dropped, on cement. I was like, I tripped, and my mom picked me up to console me and bring me in the house, and then she tripped walking up cement steps, and then I had to go get stitches. So it's like,
all right, so I have like a really good skull because I had good parents who never dropped me.
Yeah,
that
helps.
Just like that's a contributing factor.
They like shaped it every night intentionally when it was still soft as a baby. They're like, let's make this thing nice and round.
They use those little, those little suction dent removers on cars. They use that on my skull. Just too bad your parents. It's just too bad your mom didn't have one of those on hand.
That could have changed everything. And I
would parenting in so many regards.
Yeah, if the one thing they could have done differently was that, I think then things would have been fine.
So you left in 5th grade, you said?
Yes. That was the last year I went to private school, and then 6th grade was public school. That's a fun culture shock.
Yeah.
And then basically public school there on out.
What was most noticeable culture shock wise? Where you're like, this is not what I'm used to.
Did you get called any words?
Well, yeah, learning new words, I guess, but also I remember this stuck out in my mind is that 6th grade, it was like during lunch or something, and we'd earn, they group people and then go like, if this group, do you good enough behavior, you earn some points, which means you'll get a thing during lunch, and just incentivize decent behavior and small animals. And
Pavlovian conditioning.
Yeah, something like that. Just kind of just be like, if you're a good boy and a good girl, you get a little treat, and it'll make you a better member of society, and it'll make it easier for me to wrangle you. I'm 62. I don't want to fucking deal with you.
Cut up hot dogs for you.
Yeah, exactly. Nice teacher. I liked her. But I remember another student was like, "Oh, we get to play music during lunch period because X, Y, and Z," and she's like, "Oh, I got to skip this song," and I was like, "You have to skip that song?" She's like, "Oh, yeah, there's swearing in this song." And I remember just being like, there's swearing in music? Like, what? Because, like, these, that was, like, the main culture shock that, like, stuck in my mind is that, because I was raised, the home I was in, that sounded odd. My parents, very kind, soft-spoken, calm people. And the idea of, like, violence and profanity is just like, oh, that's just uncouth. So... And then also in the church, it's also odd how a lot of religious people will just apply whatever reasoning they want onto a thing and just be like, and that's why you can't do that. And you're like, that's not an explanation. Like that doesn't make sense. Like I remember being told that I didn't even say the words. I said MFer, just said that. And they're like, that means the devil. And I'm like, okay. And then I talked to my buddy, and he's like, Mr. Broberg's a fucking idiot. I'm like, okay.
Just
That
did
means the
anything but
devil.
explaining it to you.
Yeah. Which I mean, I get. I don't have any kids, but I have nieces, and kids ask weird questions, and you're like, ah, and I have a hard time, and I actually like them, and they're not some like annoying, stinky kid with ADD just running around being like, I'm effort, rah, and just being like, I have to formulate some sort of explanation within these guidelines so that he doesn't repeat it, and then a parent complains at me, and then I lose one paycheck out of the 30 I'm making here. It's like, I get it, but also, go fuck yourself, you liar. Like,
Yeah, dude, I work as I'm an adjustment counselor for in an elementary school, and some of the shit I've seen 5 and 6 year olds say is like, I didn't think at 35 I would be blown away by the language that a kid 30 years younger than me used, but it's just like, holy crap. You just like, we had this one kid, it was just like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of heavy trauma involved in some of these kids, but it's like, he realized quickly that if he starts saying fuck a bunch, he can get out of the classroom. So he was just like, that's what
my
he's
bad,
doing.
dude.
And that's it. So I'm like, we're having we got a new assistant principal. This is towards the end of the year, and he's at the before school program, and they're bringing everyone into the library to like introduce everyone to the new assistant principal, and whatever. So they're trying to get the kids out of for the before school program to where they need to be, so all the teachers can go in. And this kid starts he gets mad about something, so that's when he starts just letting loose. And we have 2 of our like ABA techs just dragging him out of the library, and he's just like being taken out. His arms are up in the air, and their arms are under his armpits, and he's just like, anyone he walks by, his fingers are pointing at. He's like, fuck you, and fuck you, and fuck you, fuck you too. And he says that to the new assistant principal, and it's just like, welcome to our school. And then they bring him up to this room, and he's like, all right, I'm ready to fight my way out of here. Which one of you bitches do I have to fuck up first? And you're like, God damn, dude, you're 5. I don't know where this is coming from, but this is
Jeez.
unruly.
You should
He's
punch
going to
him.
be a great senator.
Yeah.
Punch him right in the chest. And just and be like, you gonna try that again?
Yeah. Like, do you actually think you can fight your way out of this room?
For sure, he is just repeating behavior that is already at home.
Oh, yeah. He was... It would really bring down the mood if we get into the things that he's experienced. But
all right. Well, it's a good thing you brought it up.
Yes, thank you.
But either way.
It's a podcast called being like what ex-religious or whatever. Sorry, I'm bad at remembering names, but it's like most people that are not religious anymore tend to have come to that conclusion based off of some amount of trauma or something. And a lot of religious trauma is tied to violence or assault of some sort or some sort of fuckery. So it's like, it's all kind of in the same vein.
Yeah.
It sounds like your parents were nice people. So like, who was not nice in that environment?
I'm speaking of more of the like my experiences. I've had a soft life. Everything's been fine. Just the psychological mind fuckery of just being raised religious and then trying to undo all that weird foundational groundwork. But I'm aware of the effects that they've had on. I've lucked out. I mean, maybe something bad happened to me, but it's a repressed memory. I mean, truly, if something bad happened to me in the past and I just don't have access to that memory, it would explain some things.
Who sucked though? Maybe not abusive per se, but like there was always just like annoying people around church that were just that kind of got off on being pricks to kids. Like there was one guy named Ted Helserman that was at our church that would just, he was old and he was really like craned over.
He's dead now, right?
In his 80s.
Is that why
he's been dead a long time, but he just, anytime he saw somebody smiling, I feel like that triggered him to like ruin it. He was awful. Everybody hated him, but he was like 90 years old and there was just nothing you could say to him.
I mean, life hurts more the longer you do it. So like, I'm not saying that justifies anything, but like, I'm in my mid 30s now, and I'm like, oh, I'm starting to get like a taste of what just a baseline pain of existence. And I'm like, you see like old people just being like, "Arr," and I'm like, oh yeah, it's because it's this, but like with decades more of decay on top of it. All right.
Yeah.
That's
Nothing
true.
like a decaying body to ruin your mood.
I
Uh,
still hate him.
when you were
Oh, I'm not.
in,
I agree. Hate him as much as you want. He's dead. Find his grave. Piss on it. None of this matters. I'm not saying that justifies any of it. I'm just going like,
Sure.
I'm empathizing with someone who I think is probably a piece of shit. Like, you should work through. I don't go around and if a kid's laughing, I'm like, I want to punch that child in the throat. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm just going like, oh, I get it. But at the same time, I do think a lot of people go to church for a sense of community, but then also like use it as in like there's hierarchy. I am here, even though in other aspects of my life I have nothing. No one in my family talks to me because I've been a prick their entire lives. But I go to this church and people feel compelled out of a sense of obligation to the higher powers that they perceive to exist to be kind to me. And I can be a cunt to a 5-year-old who's happy just because what are they going to do? Be rude to me? I'm going to die in 2 years and then they'll feel bad and have to ask for forgiveness. Fucking turds.
That is true. Church is like it's such a great, if you're a loser, it's such a great place to be in charge. Like
Yeah.
you can just barrel your way to the front of the room and start telling people what's wrong with them. And because people are like gracious, they'll listen to you and do what you say to a great extent.
Depending on the church, but yeah, like you can't get one that is like a streamlined, well-oiled money-making machine. You got to get one of those like kind of wholesome, trying to get by. You know, those like it's a mom and pop shop that's been around for a couple
yeah,
decades.
and that's the non-denominational shit, man. That's the good stuff. What was your level of buy-in, man? So you're in elementary school. Occasionally you have kids in elementary school who are like, yeah, like they're just kind of like fuck this mentality. It's kind of like a disposition, but typically you buy into whatever you're taught. But where'd you fall on the spectrum of like buy-in and how what level like what your concerted efforts were to like be a good Christian, to do what was expected, to have a relationship with God and Jesus and all that. Where were you?
I mean, I don't know how exactly like to answer that because I don't know what the like if it's like a 1 to 10. I don't know where I'd be on the scale. Maybe like a 7 or an 8. I wasn't like crazy devout, but I did think it was an aspect of reality, and it didn't totally make sense all the time. But it's like everyone around me was like, "Well, this is this," and I didn't have enough alternatives to. It was the only reality I was aware of, and just because it didn't make sense, most things didn't make sense. Like because I was a child.
That's
Uh,
fair.
and I mean, I stuck it out for a while because it was my main social groups. I was still religious even into my teens to a lesser extent, but that was also because that was majority of my social circles. I had some non-religious like friends that I'd hang out with, but it's like, oh, church was just always there, and I had a group that I'd known for years, and that's also kind of how they get you is that you're like, oh, you like if you leave, you're not going to be able to hang out with Megan and Ryan and all these other folks. Like good luck with that. And so it's like this weird kind of social pressure as well. But
Sure.
I kind of had been 1 foot out the door for a while until I finally just had a day where I was like, "Oh, this is stupid. I don't want to spend any more of my time doing this because it
So,
just doesn't make sense."
did you had like a real did you have like a real 180 where you're just like, here's the cutoff? I know you said 1 foot out the door, but like it was a like one day you were just like, I guess I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I was just at like youth group at like 14 or 15, something like that, and I had like a new pair of headphones, and I was into metal at the time. Like I'd gotten into metal music when I was like 14, 15, um, and I was at youth group, and there was like maybe about a dozen of us, and we were kind of like nothing organized happening, and I was like going to be like, talking to my buddy Gabe, and I was like, oh, I should listen to this part of this song. And then the youth pastor guy like snapped at me like in front of everyone, just kind of like asserted like dominance type of shit. and he'd already kind of been a prick enough times that like in that moment I was like, why am I here? Like, why am I listening to this? Like, I'm just, and like, I know the times that I was like out of line, but I was just kind of like, I was just telling Gabe to listen to a thing. And he's like, put your headphones in my office, do X, Y, and Z. And I don't enjoy being told what to do, which, because I'm a child. But I was like, oh, I'm done with this. Like, I'm done. I'm not having some fucking fat fuck in his 30s tell me what to do and not be reasonable when I'm like, oh, I was just doing this. And then being yelled at some more where I'm like, oh, cool, yell at me in front of my peers. All right, well, I don't have to be here. Suck my dick's asshole. I'm out.
Dude, that weird like snap moment where it's like a dominance play. People do that outside of out. You'll still catch somebody doing that once in a while as an adult, and you're just like, all right, okay, that's who you are. So, but yeah, like I had a youth pastor he was kind of like that. He wouldn't like yell, but all of a sudden he'd like have you doing push-ups or something. And you're like,
It's
he
so
had
meta.
taught boot camps for like troubled kids at some point, and like that dude, nothing made this guy hornier than like making children do push-ups. And so once in a while he'd get us with that where we're all on the floor doing like scuba kicks or something, for a while, to the point that we'd just kind of look at each other at some point and we're like, this really isn't fun anymore.
And why are we all doing this? That's what's crazy, is like collectively you're all doing it when you don't have to.
Well, it's because they're giants.
It's
We're children. They're giants. They know more than us. And it takes you a while to realize that adults don't actually know everything.
yeah, that's the fun part, when you realize like we're all just fucking floundering. Like we're all figuring it
Yeah.
out as we go. What all right. What band slash song were you trying to get your friend to listen to?
Ooh, if I remember correctly, I think it was Soulfly, and I think it was off the album Primitive. I
All
mean,
right.
that was back when it was like CDs, because I'm older than I used to be. Uh, and it's very much like, oh, it's, track 4, that, like, that's.
Yeah. I've always only known tracks more than I've ever actually known song. Like, when those people would like on the street, if you're wearing a band shirt, those assholes on the street are like, name 5 of their songs.
Has
And
that
then,
ever actually happened to you?
no, it has never happened to me,
Okay.
but you can still see, you
I
used to
mean,
watch it on YouTube. Now you see it on TikTok and you're like, fuck you. Someone should hit you with a train.
I feel, and also I'm not like a woman, and I feel like that's a thing that happens to women more often, where they're like, I'm a fan of this, and then some neckbeard is going to be like, yeah, but you're not as much as a fan as you could be a fan, and I
Yeah.
have to, you can't be into the thing that I am into because you're hot, and if you like a thing that I like, I could maybe have a chance with you, but probably not, and so I'm going to preemptively reject you before you can reject me. You're like, all right,
You're
well,
ruining my fiefdom.
But I'm more than
Yeah,
happy to explain to you everything you need to know that you don't know.
exactly. It's whatever. It's just insecure people. What were you saying? Sorry, I just took that in a weird.
No, you just mentioned knowing it being like based like, oh, track 4, and I was like, yeah,
Yes.
I never knew track titles. It was always like I listened to, because that's what you less music ADD. Then you would just like, you would put in your CD and you would just listen to it, and it's like, that was, oh, I like track 3, 7, and 9, and that was nothing. There's no display telling you what it was, unless you were sitting there with the fucking pamphlet and do it all. Otherwise, that was it.
I mean, I would do that.
Yeah.
I would do that. I was like, all right, we're gonna read the lyrics while trying to understand what they're screaming about.
I did. There was a few that I would do that with. I ended up. So my introduction to metal and heavy music was like through a group of friends that I found. So there was always the handful of CDs that I would buy that you'd do that with. But then you would go to your friend's house, and that was when you would like go to FYE and buy like the 50 pack of blank CDs, so you could just burn a bunch of shit at your friend's house.
Burn it, dude.
Those are good times. It's like, I haven't heard of this band, but I'll burn their album. I haven't heard of this one, and you just burn. and you just throw it on. And you go, that's not for me, or you fucking fall in love with it.
I mean, I honestly, this is nostalgia is fueling a lot of this, but I feel like you appreciated the music more doing that than just being able to have it just your phone, like just
for sure,
boom, and stream it immediately and be like, 10 seconds in, you're like, I don't give a shit. You're like, no, man, like my buddy Steve, he burnt this for me. He wrote it. He wrote the track like names on the CD. I should probably listen to the whole thing. Otherwise, that's like kind of a dick move. As opposed to your friend sending you a link to a Spotify album and you're just like, I'm good.
Yeah, I even feel like a giant piece of shit sometimes, and I check myself because I'm like, someone mentions a band or you catch wind of it and you go to it, you pick an album, you pick like track 2 or 3, and then you immediately skip to the middle of it. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, give it a shot. Give it a shot. Like, you skip to the middle of a song to see if it's a banger.
Skip to the middle of a song?
Spotify. Yeah, you don't do that? You've never done that?
You treat music like porn. You're like, I like the intro seems promising, but let's get to the meat of it.
He's trying to skip to the part with the underballs.
Yeah, trying to get to the part where it bangs.
You know? All right, well now we know what part of the porn you particularly enjoy. So thank you for the sharing.
Minute 7 or 8 for sure.
I want to count some veins.
Oh. I'm not that big of a fan of counting or veins, but to each their own. Don't want to shame anyone for whatever gets them going.
Dude, what's like your progression into heavy music? Like, where'd you start?
Parents really did not listen to music. They still really don't. My dad plays trumpet. My mom doesn't play anything. They would just listen to oldies. So the idea of listening to music was kind of a foreign concept. Growing up, very quiet home, but not in here, and got into music. I would go to a Christian conference center during the summer. My parents were poor, but were able to afford that. That was like our main vacation once a year. And some of the kids there, I remember it was between 7th and 8th grade. They were listening to 9 Inch Nails, and like it's the first time I'd actually just heard some music that wasn't like a radio edit. And I was like, oh, this is dope. I'm into this. And then 8th grade kind of was like, I mean, music was not readily available. I didn't have enough money to like buy stuff, but like 9 Inch Nails, I was kind of fixated on that. And then The Fragile came out, I think between 8th and 9th grade. I still stand by that. That's a great album. And then 9th grade, like my buddy Steve, who I don't think he's alive anymore. Turns out meth can change some things for people, but very good guitar player at the time, or at least, as good as a 9th grader could be. But he was a big old metalhead and was like, hey, you need to check this out. And it was the self-titled Slipknot album, and check that out. And I was like, oh, I had not heard Double Kick before.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, that's just the sound that has been in my chest and in my head the whole just, and I was like, oh, I like this. And then Slipknot, evolved into Mudvayne, and then that kind of turned into thrashier things progressively with time. So that was kind of the opening moves for me as a metalhead getting into that kind of music.
Dude, that's a slightly
so you didn't,
because a lot of time, like a lot of the people who grew up in Christianity. And how old are you?
37.
Yeah, so you're, around the same age as us, and it's like so many of us were like so entrenched in Christianity that we just were given the right Christian metal band, because that when we were younger is when Christian metal really like kind of overtook the scene. So that's so interesting. I feel I was surprised that like your shift into it wasn't through the typical channels.
That was also around the time that I stopped going to church. And I didn't have any metalhead. I didn't have anyone trying to keep me in the faith while also co-opting my love of yelling.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. That's what Christian metal music is just like, hey, you know how you have hate? Well, Jesus will help alleviate that. Don't break the faith. all that being said, I still did get into a decent amount of like Christian metal bands just because they were around and the
And they
church
were
is in
good.
me. Like
And
on
they
a
were good.
foundational level, I do enjoy. Yeah, and I do enjoy a good hooky chorus, some good sing along. Like some church music does have components that are like good, where you're like, oh, like some
Sure.
praise songs where you're like that, like certain parts where I'm like, that's good music. It's fucking stupid and means nothing to me or anyone who. All right, now I'm sounding mean, but it's just like there's a reason it was popular, and it just was not presented to me. It was definitely me, the pendulum swinging the other way, where I'm like, oh, like I didn't want to listen to someone just praise Satan because I also thought that was stupid. I find that so
Yeah.
funny that when people abandon their faith and like go straight to the devil, I'm like, you're still buying into this narrative. You just switch sides and you chose the losing side, you fucking dingus.
It's
Yeah.
very reactionary.
Yeah,
And I appreciate the use of the word dingus.
it's a delightful word.
It is great.
You-
Dr. Steve.
Steve. So you mentioned no one kept like, so you around when you were like 14, 15, you stopped going to church. Did your parents continue to go to church? And
I
was
mean,
that
my dad, I
contentious?
did a little bit, but not. My dad was the main religious one, and he's a very soft spoken, he's a nice man, Mr. Rogers. Just imagine that. And my mom just kind of went with the flow. She wasn't even, I found out like in my, when I was like 19, 20, that she hasn't been religious the whole time. She just went along with it because she's like, well, your father likes it and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, the
No
morals. And I
way.
was like, oh, did you know it is a mind fuck? Did you know that? Did you know it's not good for the psyche of children and it's a form of child abuse in some ways? Did you know that, Mom? It's also not nice to berate people for parents are just trying to do what parents are trying to do. I totally get that. But it was a little bit, but I don't know. They didn't push really hard because I'm also like, I don't want to go and you can't make me. And are you physically, I'm close to your size. Are you physically going to force me into the car and drive me to a thing I don't want to, like, good luck. I'll dead weight the shit out of you.
So
Your dad pulled out a cat puppet and he's like, are you sure you don't want to go? Mr. Mephistopheles is going.
I mean, that, yeah, that probably wouldn't have worked. Although I am a fan of Mr. Rogers. He's got a lot of good points. Mr. Rogers is like he was a Presbyterian pastor, but he like kept it all out and just like let the actual tenets of Christianity, like the core philosophical aspects of it, like speak through his work without having to proselytize. And I think that's beautiful because I do think I think the things that a lot of aspects of religion, Christianity specifically, because that's what I know way more than other ones, because I just have had to be a part of it for a decent chunk of my life. Like the tenets of it, like are good. Like trying to treat those around you as you would wish to be treated is a good exercise in empathy, and it's a way a society should like a healthy society should have that as a foundational block. But it's just that's overlooked by so many other things because it's run by people and people need to make money and do all sorts of X, Y, and Z. It's a business. So all those things go to the wayside. But I do want to just kind of be like, yo, but Mr. Rogers was dope as fuck. He was a great guy. And he actually was a good, like a Christian as a Christian should be, as opposed to the vast majority of those that we see in the media or in just doing whatever they do, where you're like, those aren't the tenets of Christ. That's the tenets of capitalist Christianity.
Yeah.
It definitely becomes a protectionist mechanism at some point where it's like, I feel like a lot of American Christianity that's loud and that you see in the media and stuff nowadays is like, it really centers more around like protecting my way of life and my comfort zone as opposed to like, representing the principles that are supposedly the most important thing in their lives. It's like we need separate schools, not so that we can like somehow help a community of kids and stuff. It's like we need separate schools to protect my kids from things that I don't like.
Well, fear is easier to sell and use as a motivational tool as opposed to just like calm. hey, if we do this, things will be better. And you're like, well, that doesn't sell a headline. That doesn't make me feel like I need to donate to the cause. That makes me go, oh,
Right.
that's nice. Oh, I don't need to be here next week. I'm good.
Yeah, and the huge irony to fear as a selling point is like it gets maybe the immediate results that you want. Like if you relate it to parenting, like I have a 6 and 7-year-old, and it's almost 6 and almost 8-year-old, but it's like you can use the fear, right? You can use like the or else tactics, and that gets you what you want sometimes in the moment, as long as you're willing to follow through on your threats. But it's not the most helpful as far as like developing a person and your relationship to them. And also, I was thinking about this in regards to I'm in school now again, and it's like I just was reading this like a meta-analysis on how probation like impacts your ability. If you're on probation, like you're more likely to reoffend than someone who went through the court system and they just were like, we're just gonna wipe the slate clean. We're gonna restart because you're 17 years old and you're obviously an idiot and you fucked up. And when you look at the comparison between kids who are like, who get that, who go, you know what, you fucked up. Let's try to do better. We're going to wipe the slate clean and you can go on with your life. And then you look at the people who did the same shit and were put on probation. People who are put on probation and have the fear of the law behind them. It's like, if you fuck up, you're going to jail. And the people who were put on probation were way more likely to reoffend than people who were just like had the slate wiped clean. And I think it's like, I feel like no matter where you look at it, like using fear is a tactic. If you don't comply, X, Y, and Z will happen and it will be bad for you. It just produces the worst results over time. Even if like in the moment you're like, oh, this should get what we want.
Well, it's a short term solution that it works well enough. I mean, it's a tactic that is still being used today and won't stop being used anytime soon.
No.
But it is not a long term solution to the issue.
Yeah,
It's
weird.
hey, put those headphones away, and you're like,
Yes.
well, I'm not coming back here again. Like, all right.
Was that the
Did
last
that
time
guy
you went
come
back?
after you?
Did he come out? I mean,
Did he try to like? Did he try to like come get you and get you back into the church?
He came to the high school I was going to a couple years later and like be like, oh, hey, Luke. I'm like, hey, and I'm like, I'm gonna walk away. I don't need to interact. I'm good. But yeah, didn't like try to track me down or nothing.
He just let you go, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like, what was he gonna come to my house? Like, I'm good.
Well, some of them do.
I mean, yeah.
Sure. I mean, not in my experience, and that's creepy.
My brother, the youth pastor of the church that my family went to, this was after I had left, but apparently my brother did some sort of driving infraction that this person didn't like, and that the youth pastor followed him all the way home and got out of the car, like talked to my brother, talked to my parents about how he thought he was driving too close to him and his wife, and they had a new baby in the car. So people do weird shit, man.
I just meant like oh, someone strayed from the flock, so like I need to go try to reconnect with them and wrangle them back in. I feel like that would be like a normal, like a youth pastory sort of move, but
yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought on that aspect of that period of time in a while, and I'm sure I have holes in my memory because that's whatever, man. That's time and that's THC, baby. But I also know that I wasn't exactly the best sheep, and could probably just do a cost analysis and be like, this isn't worth my time. I don't think he's going to want to come back, and it's just going to lead to some more conflict. Like, I'll let it be what it's going to be.
wait
I'm
3 years and poke him on Facebook.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, bug him. Come across my name 2 decades later and watch some of my clips where I talk shit about your Lord and Savior.
Yeah. You should
That
start
is a
mentioning
fun
those
thing.
people by name.
I mean, that's not you open yourself up for legal action
Libel.
if you get too specific. Yeah. But it does make me happy realizing if like a clip goes viral or something like that. I'm like, oh, someone who like I don't like from my past might just by happenstance have to see my stupid face yelling about something, and that delights me.
Have you
That is
have you had
awesome.
anyone reach out? Have you had any of these have you had people from your past reach out about any of your comedy?
I mean, just people that already kind of been tied to me somewhat through social media to some extent. But but I mean, I've been doing comedy like over a decade, so most people from my past, I think, to some extent, are aware that I do a thing, and no one's really reached out that's like, "Hey, you remember me from high school?" And I'm like, I mean, no, but whatever. Or like, remember me from when you went to church? And you're like, all right, I don't know. Like, it's kind of, I think the circle's already kind of been there, so it's not that big of a. That's not how I want that sentence to go. I just don't think that hasn't exactly happened. I would love it to, just because it would be funny.
It'd be awesome. It'd be so fun. Yeah.
Because also a part of at least what I'm trying to write with a W right now is like lean into more of the the overlap, the Venn diagram of like metal music, being religious, the fallout from that, and then just kind of that period of time. Because not that you asked this, but I'm just going to ramble. Is that like you post some clips about metal music, it resonates, I get a bunch more followers, and then I kind of make a little jokes here and there about religious aspects of it, and that also like resonates. And I'm like, oh, all of these things I haven't been talking about on stage because by and large, most audiences aren't on board with these concepts immediately. And I'm there to do a job, and you can only spend so much time and energy. You have a finite amount of time to do your job. You can't spend all this time doing this exposition and trying to get these Christians on board with these concepts. But if I get an audience that's on board, I get a good recording of that bit resonating well. I put it online and hashtag it properly or do whatever, and it finds people. And then you go, oh, I should lean into this subject. So like leaning into the aspect of being no longer religious, but being aware of the ins and outs of at least my religious experience and the religion, the perception of Christianity, or the genre of Christianity that I had to listen to growing up, and like just kind of leaning into that. I don't know. I just find that I've
Yeah.
been doing that more lately. I don't know where the end of that rant is, but it's somewhere in there.
Did you ever find it hard to lean into like the metal aspect of or were there challenges to digging into that topic with when it's kind of niche and maybe your audience like isn't doesn't they don't listen to, they don't know the music? Did you have to find ways to generalize it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been not proactively trying to do this, but I've been doing comedy, stand up comedy for 11 years. And I only in the last year or two was able to figure out how to make the subject matter resonate with an audience that is not on board. But that is also tied to me being able to be louder in a way that does not alienate an audience. Like I can be seen and sound like a metalhead on stage without making them go, huh. While also having jokes where I discuss the pullback. But here's like the angle that I've taken. I don't know if you guys have watched much of my material,
Yeah.
but like the angle that I take is like, this is absurd, but I love it because X, Y, and Z. Can't you understand how someone would be into this? And if you get them on board with that concept and use that as a springboard, like you like force them to empathize with you, but you also need to empathize with them in where they're coming from. Like, and then you can just go from there. It's like once we have the similar foundation, then I can take us elsewhere and I can get into the more niche aspects of the more nitty gritty, absurd parts of it. But yeah, that's only been a recent thing, like the last year or two. But I've tried and failed many times where I just kind of go, here's this little thing, and it's like you get like 3 or 4 laughs, and it's a couple dudes with like super long hair and a shitty goatee in the back of the room. They're like, that was really funny. I'm like, cool. That's not enough people for me to keep the joke in my act.
Those are the stinky adults.
Yeah. Don't shake their hands. Knuckle bumps.
What was your
yeah, that's got to be frustrating sometimes because like it's something that's like important to you. I don't know. There's got to be some frustration with that sometimes where it's like I'm not getting the point of this across. Like the fact that this was like a part of my identity, and in a similar way to like, I don't know, how leather vests are a part of a Harley guy's
Mhm.
identity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, but that's also what stand-up comedy is. I mean, I could just say comedy in general, but stand-up comedy is a art form that has to be honed in front of a live audience. You can't write a joke
Yeah.
off stage. I mean, some people do, but they're writers more so than performers, but also that's a whole other subject. But I'm saying for me at least, and a lot of other comedians, is that like you need the audience is the instrument. And you can't tune the instrument and figure out if the song works without the audience. And a lot of these riffs or whatever are clunky at first, and it takes a while to hone it, and then also to make it so that you can do things in a way that is fluid, but also sounds good enough for someone who doesn't necessarily want to be in drop C tuning with a heavy distortion on them. But you're like, but no, it's fun. Just fucking
Drops.
relax. Let me palm you and chug a little bit. And then, like, don't worry, there's going to be some weird chords in there. It's going to be nice and melodic. Just give it a minute and a half. We'll have a nice little hook. Like, you'll be into it. Just go with the flow, baby.
I love the drop C drop. That was good. It's like
You gotta hold out for the chorus.
when people were. There was a time where everyone bragged about playing drop whatever. It's like drop D, drop like the strings are just hanging off the guitar at some point.
Yeah, somehow it was a dick measuring contest of who could have the floppiest
Yeah.
string. And you're
Yeah.
like, all right,
The
but
most flaccid strings.
we play in drop G, dude. We don't even use B strings. That's an E tuned to G. And I was like, so sounds like the loosest butthole.
Just
That's what that sounds.
electronic buzzing at some point.
And also, like, I started playing bass as a teen, and so everyone's like, "We're gonna tune it really low," and I'm like, "You." So I'm just gonna sound terrible
Yeah,
the
what am
whole
I
time?
doing? Am I lead bass now?
Yeah. Oh shit.
That's
You just take the strings off and just slap the pickups.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a full
same result.
percussion.
What got you into comedy? What was like the moment where you're like, I guess I'll fucking give this a shot?
Hatred of my day job, and
There you
I would
go.
be at work yelling at all my coworkers. I used to do auto glass, and I worked for the largest company.
Safe light repair, safe light replace.
It's fun when I was speaking vaguely on purpose. It's fun when
Was
you're
that right?
abusive. Let me fucking hey bud, triggering me. It's fun when your abusive ex has like a jingle that everyone knows and likes to repeat as soon as you allude to their existence. Just think of the worst employer you've ever had. No, it's all right. Everyone does it. Everyone does. I would be stuck working like downtown Seattle in a downpour with a tent over a car with wind, trying to set a windshield by myself and hold the tent in place with like a leg. So I'm like on one leg, setting a windshield, trying to hook it. And some dude walks by and was like, and I'm like, I have a fucking windshield. I could fucking chop your head off. Hate in my heart.
Imagine how Menards employees must feel.
Now I feel bad. I didn't know you got taunted with that while you were actively working.
Oh, it's yeah. But that also, sucks. This is the exchange you and I just had is something that has happened anytime I mention it.
Oh, God.
But you did ask what got me into comedy, and it's the need to be able to direct this pent up aggression or emotion and put it in a positive way. Like give it some sort of outlet that is something decent. And I do enjoy making people laugh, and I enjoy being the center of attention, and I enjoy feeling like, because if you're making people laugh, you are accepted in the group. And I would be in the Bay in the morning. All of my coworkers we look at our schedules, we're fucked because I was working there during the 2008 financial crisis. So, bank zone, safe light, all this other stuff. So everything rolls downhill. So I'm a brand new auto glass technician. I start my day off with like 10 installs, and I'm like, I don't know, I can maybe do 4. And just the pressure of that, and all my coworkers have it. And then me just kind of talking shit about how stupid and terrible all this is and getting laughs. And then I go have a terrible work day, but then just rinse, regret, repeat, and have to do it the next day. And eventually, after, doing all these house parties, all this stuff, people are like, you should do comedy. I'm like, all right. I thought only famous people did that. And they're like, oh, there's open mics. And I'm like, all right. So I went to one and was like, oh, I'm funnier than a bunch of these people. I'll put my name on the list the next week. And then I did. And then I was like, all right, so this is what I do. And the endorphins and dopamine and serotonin and other buzzwords that hit my system after that first time, I was like, God damn, this is the best cocaine I've ever had.
It was either stand-up comedy or you just start mailing improvised explosives to college professors.
I mean, I'm not mad at any college professors. I'm mad at, have you picked up on the vibe of disliking corporate America? It's in the mix. Also, that's too much effort. I don't own a gun. I don't make explosives because this is being recorded.
Did you have like your first, but I mean, even though the endorphins were flowing, the first like bomb, like, right, did you have that?
Yeah. My first bomb actually happened about a month into me doing open mics, and it was on a Wednesday. And it was the Wednesday after, I said that backwards. I did an open mic on a Monday about a month into me doing stand-up comedy and had a very good set. Like I'm like, I just crushed. And it happens a lot of times with like new comics where they just have a good energy and they're able to just ride the wave of the audience and play it out. They don't know what they're doing, but they're doing it well. And so I had a great set. And then Wednesday, I was like, let's run it back, do the exact same thing. But I was in a different venue. It's a different audience. All the things that led up to me doing well on a Monday didn't necessarily happen on that Wednesday. And I just ate so much silence. And you're just like, but that's also learning. It's just going, oh, you can't just say the same thing and think it's going to have the same results in front of a completely different group of strangers. So yeah, that was the first bomb that I had. And honestly, if I found the recording, which I probably have somewhere on some old phone, it wasn't even that bad. But by comparison, just knowing that I did this and it was so good, and then I do it again and just being like, woof, like so much worse.
Yeah, I've been to a few open mics, and it seems like there's also like a sweet spot where you want to be in the order to where like everybody's used up a lot of their goodwill by the time you get to the end of the show. If you're going last after like 3 weirdos in a row, it's brutal.
Problem with an open mic is that it's whoever signed up. There's no one curated the list for the most part in most places. And so it can just be edgelord, crazy person, super angry woman, edgelord, just boom, boom, boom. And he was like, all right, dude, this is way too much like sexual assault and just stories of being a degenerate, but with no upswing whatsoever, like nothing redeeming. You're just up there saying terrible things about how you hate your wife. And you're like, okay.
It's like when people get on the nose with certain types of like dark humor without nuance, it's like a disaster.
Potentially, but also like that's what the game is, man. Like that's open mics are where the sausage gets made. Like you can see someone and you're like, that person was terrible, and you're like, yeah, that's set. You got to give them like another year or two of that, or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. And as long as they're trying to learn from the silence, like they can improve. Like a lot of comics that you like now, you just like seeing the finished product. Like if you saw them at the beginning, you'd probably be like, what was that? And you're like, they have to listen to themselves and follow what they perceive to be funny, but they need to factor in what the audience is missing. Just go back to what we were talking about earlier, kind of ping ponged away. But you're talking about like an audience not getting the thing that I'm talking about. The way I see comedy, it's an algebra problem that you are presenting to an audience for them to solve. They're trying to solve for why. And it's like, why is this going to make me laugh? But you need to give them enough known numbers. It's been too long since I've done algebra, so this analogy doesn't really hold much water. But I know I'm right. I just don't know how to articulate it properly. But like, you can't be like A plus B equals Y without having what A or B is. Like you have to give them enough, and you have to give them enough that someone can figure it out when they're 3 drinks deep with no dinner. Like, and so it's like, me being like,
it's like when like big comics are working out a new set and someone fucking like records it and puts it out, and they're like what the you hear them get mad about it because it's just like, this is me trying new shit. Like, this isn't really for I'm at a certain level. This isn't for that anymore. Like, when you're trying new shit, it's like, why would you don't want that presented to the world because you're trying to like hone it in. And it's like, you have to, it's a weird job because you're like, you have to publicly work out whether or not it's funny. It could be the funniest fucking thing in the world to you. And then if it's not getting laughs after 5 sets, so you're like, okay, now I have to move on. I have to do something different. I have to tweak it. I have to figure out how to make this accessible. And when people like try to like put that out too early, or they stick to it because they think they have like the upper hand, or they think they have this idea of what's funny and that everyone else doesn't understand. It's just not, it doesn't really seem to work out too well.
Well, you have to be open to change. I mean, but most of the best jokes out there, or at least the bits that are the best, take a while to work out. I have one that I'm still like, it goes in waves where you're like, oh, I think I got it figured out. You're like, it's kind of cutting back, or in front of this kind of audience, it doesn't hit the way I want it to. But I have a joke, and I have a version of it up on some of my socials, but just about Roe v. Wade and being overturned, and how I'm like, I think it's going to be a positive thing ultimately. And like, just the direction I take it in definitely alienated audiences at first, and it still does, but it took time for me to come up with like, how many lines do I need, and what way do I need to present it? What way do I need to say this, convey this sentiment that is digestible and gets you on my side and conveys, while also keeping it light enough. I mean, might as well say it, like, I was the point, the initial thought that made me laugh was just going like, oh yeah, Roe v. Wade getting overturned sucked, but it's going to be progress because we're going to have more women as domestic terrorists now.
It'll be,
which is
women protesting abortion. Dude, Luke, thanks so much for joining us. This has been a great time, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. Where do you want to direct people towards so they can find your comedy online, find you on social media?
Just look up my name, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the stuff, all the things. Just Luke Severeid, Luke, Luke Severeid, Severeid, like the word severed with an I before the D. Think Star Wars, chopping off a hand, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's
very metal, very metal.
Very metal. Well, I mean, his hand was afterwards.
Yeah. Man, well, yeah, thanks again, man. This has been a great time. Everyone listen, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.